three times. Close the public hearing and then move on to the next one. Yep, they're back there. I think you have to hit this one when you're ready. It's live right now, just so you know.
All right, I got 5. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
Good evening, everybody. This is, it's 5 o'clock on Tuesday, May 21st, and you are at a planned commission of the city of Wausau. And first on the agenda tonight is item 1, approval, the meeting minutes for March 19th, 2024. Are there any comments, questions, corrections? Motion from Borneman.
There's 3 Bs. I'll second it.
Sorry.
Vulcan Barnum.
All right, you got that.
We got it, yep.
And we can vote on that. All in favor, say aye. And that passes unanimously. Second item is public hearing for the 1011 North 5th Street, discussion on rezoning 1011 North 5th Street from a MRL 12, multifamily residential 12 zoning district to an NMU, neighborhood mixed use, for the Hager House. And this is a public hearing. Are there any residents or anyone wishing to speak? Please state your name.
I am Jessica Brettel. I'm the founder and executive director of the Hagar House. First of all, thank you guys so much for having us. So just wanted to tell you a little bit about what we're hoping to do with that property. And I know just about a year and a half ago, a couple years ago now, we were here to be able to make the Hagar House possible. So thank you so much for that. In the year and a half that we have had our doors opened, we have just seen an amazing amount of support from this amazing community, from local churches, businesses, organizations, and groups. And we have seen an amazing impact on the families that we get to serve at the Hagar House. So that is part of the reason why we're here, is that extra portion at 1011 North 5th. It had an old brick building on it. The roof line had come in years before when Kinsey Green had owned it. They had to acquire it for off-street parking while it was an office. And so since acquiring it, we took down that building to make sure it was a safety concern. And so now that that's cleared, we are seeing a really great need for some area to store different items and then some office spaces. So looking at how that property has been used over the years, it was just a parking lot for Kinsey Green. Before that, it had been used temporarily as a heating, someone who owned a heating business operated out of there. And then the Wausau Daily Herald to pull paper off of the railroad tracks, and they stored there. So looking at it, we are just hoping that it can be rezoned to more neighborhood mixed use, where we could utilize it in a way that is a little bit more commercial and fits its current state already a little bit better.
Thank you. Are we open for questions at this point? Or not?
Usually ask if there's other people that want to speak before we.
Okay, continuing the public hearing on this item. Anyone else wishing to speak on the topic of rezoning to the neighborhood mixed use? Here's your chance. I've got to say it one more time. Public hearing. Anyone else interested in speaking on this item for neighborhood mixed use for the Hager House? All right, we will close public session, public hearing, and move to the next item, which will be to discuss and possible action on that rezoning of 1011 North 5th Street from an MRL 12 multifamily residential 12 zoning district to an NMU neighborhood mixed use for the Hager House. You can take that.
Sure.
All right, just to give some more background on it, you can see on the map on the screen, that's the highlighted parcel that they're looking to rezone. It currently is multifamily residential that was zoned that way when our zoning code went into effect in 2020. And I guess, it's noted in the staff report that it's not necessarily all that suitable for a multifamily development. It's kind of odd shaped. It's relatively small. Looking at the zoning in the area along the railroad tracks, especially on the south side, is more mixed use. It's urban mixed use. They're actually proposing neighborhood mixed use, which is actually a slightly more restrictive district than the urban mixed use. So I guess the staff, we feel that it would be suitable for that zoning and the uses that would be allowed on that parcel. So recommend in favor of it.
I apologize, is there currently a building on that site?
I believe it was recently torn down, is that correct? Yeah, there was a garage-type storage structure. I'll just bring up an aerial photo here. So it's this triangular parcel here. You can see the old garage that's there from last year, the year before. I don't know if we can see it from the street or not. Is that the wrong way? No, that's it back there, I believe, right?
Okay, so that's gone now? Okay, that is gone. All right, any further discussion, comments?
I'll make a motion for approval.
Motion from
Borneman.
George Borneman. Second from Mr. Balkin. Any other affirmative comments, questions? All right, having a motion and a second, all in favor of the mixed-use recommendation rezoning for the Hager House, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 4, discussion and possible action on approving the specific implementation plan for 402 and 406 North 28th Avenue, walkabout orthotics. Brad?
Yeah, I can give an introduction on this. So this property was rezoned to PUD a couple months ago. We didn't have a meeting last month, but I believe it was the month before that. And there was a home on this lot, and the proposal is to put a parking lot on that portion that you see just north of the existing office building. So the general plan was approved previously at Plan Commission and Council. This is the specific implementation plan. There are more detailed plans in the packets. And I guess just to note that it does fit in under our requirements for our max. Normally we'd have maximum parking requirements, but since it's under 25 spaces total, then the maximum parking doesn't apply. So it fits in under that. And I guess as staff, we didn't see too many other concerns with it. So I recommend approval.
Okay, we have a recommendation from staff on approval. Any other comments, questions? Would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Balkin, second from Borneman. All in favor to accept the specific implementation plan? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes.
That's right. Is he feeling the weight?
5.
All right, a similar action on item number 5, discussion and possible action on approving the specific implementation plan for 415 South First Avenue, a Gorman project. And Brad, is that yours too?
Yeah, Bill and Andy are missing today, so I'll fill in some of these. Actually, I did write the staff report on this one. So this is West Side Battery, or the former West Side Battery, 415 North First Avenue. And you may remember we did change the zoning. The general development plan was approved for the apartment development there. This is the specific implementation plan. So what's in the packet, the site plan, the building elevations, landscaping plan, That's all part of the specific implementation plan. We do feel that it is a complete package with the plans that we would like to see. I guess it is noted that there would be, we would like to see a little bit more detail in terms of a lighting plan for the site. We didn't see that in there. And I believe that is about it. They are asking for, this is the first time we've seen the specific setbacks for the building. They are asking for reductions of those normal from the base zoning district, but I guess in this case, the site is basically, it's not adjacent to any developable parcels. It's surrounded by the railroad right-of-way on the north, First Avenue right-of-way on the west, and then WPS owns land around it on the east and the south. So, there's no concern really of infringing on the neighbors since it's basically on its own parcel. It won't have any neighbors around it. And again, to note, the setbacks are one thing that they're looking to flex. The other thing would be the parking spaces, and this was addressed in the general plan, but they would be looking at the parking lot across First Avenue. It's a separate parcel, separate zoning. They did receive a conditional use permit for a parking lot there. I guess we're just waiting on a plan for the parking lot permit that would come in separately as approved by staff, but that is part of the overall project. It's just a separate zoning district technically from the building itself. So I guess I can entertain any questions. Otherwise, I guess staff would recommend approval.
Comments and questions on the First Avenue project?
Comment.
Mr. Balkman.
I love this project. I'm glad it's finally coming through. I think it's been a long time coming, and I think it's going to be great. And I'll make a motion to approve if I can.
Motion from Balkan to approve. Second from Borneman. You have a comment? Okay. So it does look good to see some action over there. Question on, does this, so the setback issue, is that approach anything resembling a variance?
Yeah, so with the planned unit development, it's a flexible zoning district. So
Okay.
the plan commission here can basically approve that plan, and it acts as a variance. It doesn't have to, a variance would go to a separate board technically if this was a straight zoning district. But, with the site plan approval here, that effectively grants the variance that they would need.
Okay, with a recommendation from staff and a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes unanimously. Up next, item 6, discussion and possible action on the revised preliminary plat for Green Tree Meadows. I see Mr. Sorensen in the, or do you want to take this, or who's going to present it?
Yeah, I can introduce it. I guess it's not a public hearing, but I think there is a gentleman that would like to make some comments if we'd allow him to. But the new plat, this is a revised preliminary plat. So there was a preliminary plat that came through Plan Commission and City Council. It was approved. And this looks very similar. The only difference in that, this is in the packet, there's the revised and the original. Just the southwest corner is the only difference between the time that this plat was approved and now. The city sold the developers an extra chunk of land on the southwest corner for new residential lots. So there's discussion on how to handle this administratively. And I guess the decision was made to bring back the revised plat that shows the extra lots down in that southwest corner. If you go back to the original, that area was not included before. There was not a cul-de-sac there. It was just 4 lots coming off of 72nd Avenue. Now there's a new road coming off of 72nd, called New Road. That's probably not the actual name of it, but that's what it's called right now. And you can see there's a lot more lots there on that southwest corner that they're planning to build. And again, this is the preliminary plat, so this would it went through the Infrastructure and Facilities Committee. It's here at plan, it would go to council for approval, and then actually a final plat would come back for approval as well. So, but this, again, is the revised preliminary that they're bringing forward.
All right, comments, questions from the commission?
Question. How many lots is this total? Just because I'm nosy.
Yeah, no, it's on here somewhere. I'm gonna have to find it. I don't want to give the wrong, it's over 100. It is, I'm seeing 136 in total
Okay.
on over roughly 80 acres, I believe. Is there more? Could be more. No. Yeah, there's outlots as well. I guess buildable lots, I'm seeing 130, well, here we go. Sorry about that. Sam got it right. There is 145 lots that are buildable. And 17 outlots. So that was a question, I think, from the Infrastructure and Facilities Committee, where's the stormwater management going? And I guess that will be planned in future with the final plat that'll come back, and some of that'll be determined. Again, this is just a preliminary plat showing the general layout of the streets and the lots, street names, things like that, lot dimensions.
Another question,
Yes.
just because I'm nosy.
Go ahead.
Do you have any insight as to how they name these streets that they're proposing? I mean, it seemed kind of, when, you know, like Cedar and Cherrywood, and then there's this Cacao. That seemed kind of different. I mean,
Yeah,
it's their property, it's okay with me, but.
right. Yeah, I mean, they're named after different vegetation, but other than that, I'm not sure. I know they have to get it through Marathon County. They'll double check to make sure that there's no duplicates, like they have to be unique names in the county.
Like there is in the city all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and emergency management, I think, will weigh in on it. So these aren't necessarily finalized. If there's an issue with the names, that'll come back with the final plat, and those may change, but. Yeah, I think just that's the only difference that they.
Okay.
Do you want to let Sid speak?
Sure.
It's like you.
Any other comments from the commission?
Yeah, I'm
Mr.
going to be
Barneman.
nosy as well. Is the existing infrastructure in this area large enough to handle 140 residential units out there? Water, sewer, everything? Does that go through a process prior to approval, or?
Yeah, it's going through engineering, so
Okay.
they're looking at these preliminary plats and stuff as well.
Okay.
So, yeah,
All right, thank you.
water and sewer's involved, yep.
Fire hydrants? No. Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Sorensen, would you care to speak?
I'm Sid Sorensen. I own the property to the east of this. And I guess what happened, today was the first day I'd heard that this was proceeding. I'd been up into engineering many times, and I said, hey, if anything's going on, let me know. Well, nobody let me know, and I knew nothing about it. One of my issues that I have with this is there is the feeder that goes, all of a sudden I'm lost. Where are we at? Right. No, that's 68th Avenue. Okay, there it is, right here. This feeder road that goes up into my land, that West Hill subdivision. And when the preliminary plan was originally done in 2003, there was no access there. I would like to see just a sidewalk going there. Kind of as a example, I lived on 36th Avenue back when the Statine School was there on Stewart Avenue. And I was down near the bottom of 36th Avenue. I'd have cars going by at 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, and every once in a while you heard one going probably faster than that. There is a big decline coming down. And when people start coming down that, they don't pay attention or anything as to speed. With this, especially how this is right now, with that street going straight through, it's going to feed everything. Like when it's time for school to become kids going to school and home from school, if this probably isn't going to be a school bus situation. So what's going to happen is the people are going to come in there, and then I don't think you have any of the subdivision that on the proposed subdivision, but right here is where that feeder street, actually it isn't. Right over here is where that feeder street would be coming in. So by that feeder street coming in, it's a straight shot then coming down Birchwood Drive. And Birchwood Drive there's part of that Birchwood has a 13% grade. And it does come down then to 11 and then flattens out. But when the people are going to be coming down that thing, they're going to be flying. So we've got 140 houses. They're going to be lower cost houses, which means there's going to be a lot of kids. And the people are going to look at that and say, well, boy, this is a straight stretch. I'm going to just fly up and over this hill and drop my kids off at school. So if they really insist on having that street through, the intent, to me, one of the ways to do it would be to take and move that street over at least to this point or up to this point. So it isn't as easy for the people to come all the way through here and everybody come up and over. They're going to maybe think, is it easier to go here and then come around Statine Drive? Like I say, personally, I would rather not see anything, have a sidewalk so that kids can get through there, and just have all the traffic go out to 72nd Avenue. So, but that is my concern. And basically, I have two roads that are coming down and going to be Old Coach and going to be Birchwood, where all of these cars that are going to come over the hill are going to want to travel. It's great. I'm happy to see the interest, and hopefully everything works out for the developer. The city needs more property, more taxable property.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Sorensen.
Pardon me?
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
Well, I guess just to explain a little bit on this aerial photo of what Mr. Sorensen was talking about, this is roughly where the new street would go, where it's already cut into the trees, and that'd be proposed to be extended straight to the east and connect with Mr. Sorensen's subdivision here. Again, on the plat, what's being shown is just right-of-way. It's not like street design, so we can talk it over with the developers and the civil engineers about what could be done, I guess, from a traffic management standpoint. Again, this is just showing right-of-way. Could there be traffic control within that right-of-way? We definitely want to keep access, like was said, for bikes and peds, just because of the proximity to the school and proximity to other trails that we have in the area. There's a new trail on 72nd that's actually extending to the west. The overall vision was that this trail would extend east through the subdivision and through existing subdivisions to get directly to the school to keep kids off of Statine Drive, and just a shorter connection that kids could actually walk and bike to school, or just the neighbors could walk and bike to some of the new amenities that are out there in terms of trails. But I guess the actual full street could be debated. I don't know. We haven't discussed that internally, whether to to not have that as a full street. I know, we did talk about the access into this subdivision with cars, and, it was important to connect to 68th. I know there was some debate by the neighborhood down to the south that, they wanted to cut off this access, and they wanted everything to come out to 72nd, but, I think generally for safety and circulation, it's good to have multiple connection points now. Do we need 3 or do we need 2? I mean, there should be more than just one, obviously, but I guess we can have that discussion on whether we need 3 or just 2.
So this would go to council on June 11th?
Yeah, again, this would just be another preliminary plat. It would have to come back as a final plat in order to have, full approval before they could start building. So there's a couple more steps left in the process.
Mind if I inject one other thing? With what you're talking about having the other access to that, one suggestion would be have it as an emergency kind of an access so that you could have it locked off to keep the traffic going that way, but if it's an emergency, that the fire department would have a key like they have in some other places to be able to come through in that direction.
Yeah, I don't know what the fire department thinks. I know we do have a gate. I can think of one instance that we have a gate, and it's been a hassle since the start. And there's been times where the gate has been opened, and I don't know. It's just I don't think that's an ideal situation.
I think you're right. I can think of one instance. We do have, excuse me, access to the park department has provided us also with some of their keys. It boils down to getting that Knox box again, if that's how this body so chooses. But it's something that we are extremely familiar with maintaining because it's not an inspectable property.
So for my education here, when we take this to the next step, then look at the possibility of joining that road or moving the road, will there be opportunity for further input, or are we taking this input to that meeting?
Yeah, I guess, this input will be forwarded to the council for them to consider whether to approve this design, this plat. Again, this exact one minus the area towards the southwest corner was already approved from a preliminary standpoint. So, I mean, again, the only change is down here. We're not really changing anything on this side, but I guess it's fair game. It's coming back as a whole to the council, so it's up to them, I guess, to open up other issues that didn't come up the first time.
Okay, any further comments from the commission?
I just have a
Wyman.
question. Is there something in our subdivision code that stipulates how many units you can have? Because you shut off those other feeds, and it's basically a pretty big cul-de-sac. And for getting fire and ambulance back there and other services, it seems to be problematic.
Yeah, I mean, the only hard and fast rule I know of is the length of a cul-de-sac is 500 feet max. And that would be these other streets that just come in dead end.
Okay.
But in terms of, this isn't really a cul-de-sac, so I don't know that there's a specific number that I know of that would apply. But again, right now, the whole Morgan Creek subdivision, there's really only one road in and out of there, and it was always planned to have another access at some point. So, we do think that one is important, and 72nd, but again, just from a circulation, emergency management, I think the more is usually better.
I have a dumb question. So if we do marry up with Birchwoods, is it Birchwood? Do we have a process for deconflicting the name there? If we have, looked like we had Arbor Vitae Drive would run into Birchwood.
Yeah, I guess it's to be determined when that, what the layout of that is. I mean, that street might not come in straight into Arbor Vitae. You know, there might be a different design that, yeah, it's kind of hard to say without knowing what that other subdivision's going to look like.
Okay, so knowing what we know with the comments and suggestions from Mr. Sorensen and the commission, I would entertain a motion to discuss or to approve the preliminary plat for Green Tree Meadows. Motion from Watson. Second from Borneman. Any further comments? Without further comment on a motion and a second, all in favor of the preliminary plat for Green Tree Meadows, say aye.
Right.
Any opposed? And that passes. Up next, item 7, discussion and possible action on dedication of right-of-way at 404 Franklin. And again, this will come to, as the previous one, to council on June 11th if passed.
Yeah, I guess I can.
Is that for us or Tom?
Oh, I can introduce it. I
Okay.
think we do have a representative here to talk more about it, but, so this comes from the Infrastructure and Facilities Committee, formerly known as SISM, and the action is to look at dedicating additional right-of-way along Franklin Street and 4th Street, adjacent to the 404 Franklin property, which is the former church building that the YMCA owns across from the landing now. So I believe it's a 6-foot strip on 2 sides of the lot, and they would basically take the existing sidewalk, bump it out to the right-of-way line, the new right-of-way line, eliminate the grass terrace between the sidewalk and the curb, and put in angled parking along Franklin and 4th Street for the future expansion of the landing. So, yes, INF, I believe, approved it unanimously, and it would go to council after plan.
There.
Is it?
Yeah, I'll abstain from this one as I am on the YMCA board, so.
Okay, so for the record, Eric Lidman abstains from this one. For voting purposes, any comments from the commission? Mr. Borneman?
Yeah, I'm just curious, I didn't catch the committee meeting, but was there any discussion of any other options for parking around that area? Specifically, I'm looking at McIndoe.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it is, I'm guessing that its current configuration is based on it being formerly Highway 52 going through there, and it's wide, and there's no parking on, I believe it's the north side. I'm just curious if that came up during the discussion to
Yeah.
alleviate some of the problems they have there with the parking.
Yeah, actually, what's not included in this set of plans is the overall parking plan for the area, and actually does include, on the south side of McIndoe would be angled parking coming from 3rd. And again, in that case, they would take out the terrace again, so it'd be sidewalk back against the curb on that block north of the Y. And also this block right here, I'm pointing to 4th Street, north of Grant. They would, again, bump the sidewalk out towards the park and put angled parking in there. I think there's 40-some spaces overall that they're adding to the streets.
51 total.
51 total.
This would be the final count.
So yeah, we're not showing the design, and those two blocks that I mentioned that aren't part of this, they didn't need additional right-of-way. They're working within existing right-of-way, so that did go to the INF committee, but there really wasn't any action. It's kind of a design engineering question. They worked with engineering on designing that within the right-of-way. But this is an action that the plan commission needs to take to send to council for additional right-of-way that they're dedicating. It's a good question.
All right, entertain a motion to accept the dedication of right-of-way for 404 Franklin.
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Balkin, second from Borneman. Further comments, discussion? And we're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that item passes. And we've got item 8, plan updates. I show Andrew was going to give us an update on the safe route to school plan. Is that you, Brad?
Yeah, I can just briefly introduce it. These were informational items for the commission, just to let you know what's happening. One of them is the Safe Routes to School plan, which I have a draft here. We didn't include it in the packet because it's very large and we didn't want to mail that out. There was a presentation. We worked with North Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. They gave a presentation at the INF committee last month, just a couple weeks ago. And the plan is open for, public viewing now. It's there's a link to Regional Planning's website where you can find it. We got I guess just in a nutshell, we got a grant from the DOT actually a few years ago to look at all of the elementary and middle schools in the city of Wausau, besides the teen elementary, which we already had done an individual safe routes plan. But this plan covers all of the other schools in the district that are in the city of Wausau. And there's a variety of recommendations in there. It doesn't commit the city to anything, but it'll help us look at road projects and it helped the schools look at, encouragement and things that they can do, programming type stuff to get more kids to walk and bike to school. So it's a pretty robust plan. There's lots of recommendations. I encourage you to peruse it, if you will. It will be going to council, I believe next week for adoption. We've been working on it for a while, and there's been input from city stakeholders, school district stakeholders, the schools themselves, parents. There's a lot in there if you're interested. So the other update quickly is we're looking at issuing an RFP to do a redevelopment plan for the North Riverfront is the name of it, I guess we're calling it. This is basically north of Bridge Street, north of River Life. There's the old water treatment plant. There's Wausau Chemical, Great Lakes Cheese. We've taken a preliminary look at that in the past. We're wanting to do a more holistic look at it, more deep dive, get some public input with the neighbors, the stakeholders, and come up with a master plan for that area. And, we want to eventually set the stage for redevelopment. We're not at this time looking for specific proposals. We're looking for a planning consultant, engineering consultant to help us fit all the different pieces together so we helps in our decision making going forward when we do get the development there. So we're looking to put out the RFP to find a consultant and help us do this plan and probably over the next 12 months or so. So that actual RFP is in there. It hasn't gone out yet. It actually has to go to council for final approval. So if there's anything in there that you'd like to provide feedback to us, just let us know.
Thanks, Brad. Did this come through Economic Development?
Oh, yeah, Economic Development Committee. Actually, on a vote of 2-2, there was 2 people that weren't in favor of releasing it, but it does go to council for their final blessing.
Okay. Questions on that? Looks like we're at next meeting date. We're looking at Tuesday, June 18th, 2024, same time, same place.
I won't be here. I have a conflict that day.
Balkan won't be here. Hopefully Brueggemann will be here. And I'll work on that one. Thanks. And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion from Balkan, second by Watson. All in favor?
Aye.
And we're adjourned. Thank you.
Andrew looks at this and realizes how many motions in this. You know, in that section of, for this North Riverfront, there's a